What's happening, people? Welcome back to the Park Lane Podcast, episode 42. There's just two of us tonight. My name is Luke, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Harry. How you doing, Harry?
I'm very good, thank you, Luke. It's good to be here once again. Looks like me and you for now. Go back in. I want to say the olden days. It's not that old, is it? So this where we started at the start of the year. I'm looking forward to this one. I'm sure lots of viewers are as well.
Yeah, definitely. And, a little treat for the viewers today. If you are interested in getting involved and having your say, do click the link in the chat, which I've just brought up on the screen, because we will invite you live on the show to have your say. Please turn your camera on and you can have 5 minutes to have your say what we'll do. But let's crack into it, because today's episode is a keep, loan or sell. We're going to run through the entire Spurs squad and we're going to have our say on who we should keep, loan and sell. So before we get into that, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We're not far off 800 subscribers, so we're close to that now. And do not forget to hit the like button. If you're listening on any podcast platform, hit the follow button. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, make sure you give us a review. Right, Harry, let's crack on then. Our previous number one goalkeeper, Hugo Lloris, keep, loan or sell?
It's a sell for me. I'm very, very grateful for what he's done in his Spurs career. I think he's been a very loyal servant, great captain, great leader, etc. But I think last season was evident. I think he's gone one season too many, loads of mistakes creeping into his game now. It's time to go. And when I talk about part of the rebuild, that is also players going out the door like Lloris. And obviously bringing in that keeper now, Lloris can go. With also Shimley being the backup, so I think Lloris would have been told, you're free to leave once we get your replacement in, whoever that may be. So for me, it's an absolute sell. But I'm grateful for what he's done for the club.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you there. It's going to be a sell for me as well. As you say, I think you hit the nail on the head. Thanks for everything. There's been some times under Lloris that he saved us in games, but it's time for a change in goal. And it looks like the new signing Vicario is going to be that person. Quick shout out to Holly Agambar. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Yes, funky shirt. I'm wearing the 1994 Nigerian national shirt. So, thought I'd spice it up a little bit today.
Interesting.
So thanks for that. Right, let's move on to Fraser Forster. Came in as a free transfer last summer. Keep, loan or sell?
For me, this is a fairly obvious keep. We're talking about a goalkeeper who stepped in for Lloris and made nowhere near the same mistakes as Lloris. And we've looked at, he's made some fantastic saves. I don't think there's really been one game where I thought he was shocking. Even in that Leicester defeat, it was the defence that ultimately the reason we conceded 4 goals. From the penalty save against Forest to excellent saves getting down on the floor against Milan, which he's sometimes been criticised for. As a backup, absolutely fantastic. And I've always said, if we didn't bring that goalkeeper in, I know it looks like we have with Vicario, but if we hadn't of, I would be happy with Forster, at least let's say until January, because of the work, the job that he's done. Came in, Lloris has been chucked in there, and he, fantastic, done a great job. So didn't put a foot wrong, that's the word. It's a keep for me.
Yeah, I think I agree, keep as well. The thing is with him is, he's got that proven Premier League goalkeeping experience, and he's not a number one goalkeeper for a side like Spurs, but
no.
He has the ability to play cup games. He has the ability to step in when he needs to, and he's getting older by the day, and it does make it a little bit more difficult for some of those lower saves. But I think he's definitely deserved a keep.
I like that we're agreeing.
Yeah, I know. So
good
far.
Start. Rare.
So far.
So far.
If anyone wonders, I am keeping tally of this, so we will put it on our Twitter channel later with the kind of thoughts that we had. So let's go with Brandon Austin. Keep, loan or sell?
Well, obviously, ideally, you need 3 keepers. So let's say Vicario, Fullstone, you need either Austin or Whiteman. So one of them, for me, goes out on loan and one stays. I reckon it'll probably be Austin that stays and Whiteman goes on loan. So let's say with Austin stay as the third goalkeeper. But if you're Brandon Austin or Whiteman, you're not getting any younger. You're advancing into your 20s. You've been in the youth setup at Spurs a long, long time. Constantly being told by the youth academy you're going to make it. You'll be Spurs number one. To still be in this position, where we're talking about they won't even be backup goalkeeper, it's probably very, very frustrating for them. And fair play to them if they want to go to the Championship League One and join a team and be their first or second goalkeeper. So I would keep, because I think Postecoglou, one of the reasons, obviously, he was appointed, many reasons, but one of them would be obviously him working with the youth academy, because right now I think the gap between the youth academy and first team is huge. So I think Austin may fancy his chances, but it definitely won't be. Can't see it being as a number one or a backup. But I would keep and probably loan Whiteman, because I think Austin's slightly nearer to the first team.
Interesting. For those of you that are wondering where I am, because of different background today, I'm currently at my mum's house down south. I'm a little family visit, so I've managed to schedule this podcast in on time. But I'm going to kind of answer both Austin and Whiteman, kind of what you've done to kind of get through them both. The problem I have with both of these keepers is, you're right, one of them needs to stay, but only really for the sake of the fact that we need three keepers. Do I believe that either of these goalkeepers are ever going to play for Spurs? Probably not. I'm going to say sell Austin and loan out Whiteman, but one of them probably, as you say, one of them probably has to stay in the squad. So in that case, it might be keep Whiteman, loan out Austin. I don't really know, to be honest, because I'm not really asked with either of them, to be quite frank. But let's move on to the man who's been talking a little bit about moving away from Spurs. So it might be an easy one. Davinson Sanchez. Do you think he ever has the ability to play for Spurs?
Well, that's a good question there. For me, going to put it out there, it is sell. His Spurs career hasn't worked out as we hoped. He's not the player that we signed for that big fee from Ajax. It's been disappointing, but no hate towards him. And obviously, you can't condemn the abuse he received, the booing he got, etc. Obviously, there is no place for you booing your own player. And then to the point where he had to shut down both his Instagram and Twitter account, there's got to be a reason for that. That is not good. Obviously, you can't condemn that. But, Sanchez's career hasn't really worked out. So, of course, like with anyone else, I do wish him the best. But it is time to go, because when there's signs of improvement, he has this mistake in him in the game. And if we want to bring in new centre-backs, then the players have to go first, because otherwise you just end up with it. Look at Chelsea's situation. Throughout last season, you don't end up like that, where they've got too big of a squad and you desperately need to move on players. So this is where I do agree with Daniel Levy. You've got to get the players out before they come in, so you don't get an overloaded squad, and you can afford it as well. So Sanchez has to go out the door. I think he'll be one of the players who will leave. So quite a simple sell, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think that he is a good enough player for play for Spurs. I genuinely still believe that. I think that what has happened is that his time at Spurs has been so difficult that his head is so far gone, that he's not able to come back from it at Spurs.
I agree. He needs a fresh start.
I think you go to another club and play well, and people will be like, oh, why didn't he play out that for Spurs? Well, half of that's a problem, I think, with the mentality. I think he's still reasonably young, isn't he? So I think that, I just think that it's far too gone. The likes of the boos that he received and various things like that. Every time he's coming on the football pitch now, he's having to deal with all that nonsense. So, I think I completely agree with you. It is a sell. I will take the next one. We'll go for Eric Dyer. And I'm going to say sell. What do you think?
Yeah, see, I have an unpopular opinion about this. One that people have been going on about me all day. I would keep him as a squad player. Obviously, he's made lots of mistakes, but I think an injury-free Eric Dyer played potentially in defensive midfield. I don't think he should be in the team, because I've sit here a lot of times on the podcast and gone, he wouldn't get into any other top six team. And I still stick by that. But I think as a squad player, I think he can be at times reliable, very solid. And when you're winning games, to see you out a game, I think he'd be quite a handy player that possibly could turn to. Obviously, you've got to keep some players as well. because always just end up with not enough numbers. So in that defence, I'd probably keep Dyer, but I'm not going to sit here and cry if he does leave because he's made lots of mistakes and he's been here a long, long time. So just about keep.
See, I would think that Postecoglou would rather play Sanchez, and the only reason I think that is because he needs fast centre back.
Yeah.
And Eric Dyer is none of those. But obviously, I understand. We just said we wanted to sell Sanchez, so obviously, you can understand what I'm saying. But I think that Eric Dyer again, he's tried every single position for Spurs apart from playing striker, and none of them have really worked out, have they?
No.
People talk to the cows come home about how Mourinho likes him, Conte likes him, blah 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 blah. I just think that his time's done, and Eric Dyer should be gone. But only time will tell. Let's move on because we've got a lot of players to get through. Emerson Royale, keep, loan, or sell?
Oh, I'm going to go with keep because I saw signs of improvement in his game last season, especially defensively, and I think potentially with Postecoglou could work with him maybe going forward. Is he good enough to be a first team player for a club that wants to get back into Europe? That's debatable. But I think Postecoglou will like his effort and his commitment because we're talking about a player who spent £1 million, I think, during lockdown on improving his defensive game off the pitch. So I think Postecoglou will admire that, his effort to get better. Again, another player I'd probably keep it in the squad because I think Jed Spence maybe needs another loan, and obviously you want that backup right back. So just already planning it out with Spence. Me thinking Spence goes out on loan, you need that backup for Porro in case he gets injured. So yeah, keep Emerson Royale. Hopefully he can improve even more under Postecoglou. The right manager to improve him, I think.
Yeah, interesting. I'm looking at the three players that we have in that position.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, Porro, I'd rather he played further forward.
Yeah.
I think Spence he could do a job with, and I think he deserves a shot under Postecoglou. But then if Porro does move forward, we still have to play or have Emerson Royale. So for me, I think I agree with you. It's got to be a keep for him.
Unless we're willing to sign another fullback, which I can't see us doing.
Exactly, right. Exactly. Just a quick one to everybody. You can join us live and have your say. There is a link at the top of the comment section. So if you want to show your face, come on this channel and have your say with any of these players, then please do click that link. Right, Harry, let's move on to my most hated player at Spurs, Ivan Perisic. Keep, loan, or sell?
I know your answer to this, and I'm going to agree with you on this, but probably for a different reason. I am going to go with sell. I can't quite see the hate that he gets because we're talking about a player who the other day for Croatia in the Nations League final for me was Croatia's best player, fine delivery, and I think it's maybe fans think that we're.
Oh, Harry, your sound seems to have gone. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening there, mate. Let me drop you out and bring you back in a second. Hello? No, your sound's completely gone for some reason on your end. Strange. Let me carry on then. I'll remove Harry a moment and we'll carry on. So Ivan Perisic, yeah, for me, I think I have to agree with Harry. It's a big sell for me. I think that he was brought in as a saviour under Antonio Conte. And, for those of you that know what my feelings are towards Perisic is that, I really don't rate him and his time at Spurs. But I think that's the only option that we've got is to sell him because he doesn't want to be there. He came under Antonio Conte, and I think he adds a bad mentality and bad vibe to the squad personally. But Harry, are you back with us?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, there we
go. Perfect. I don't know, no idea what that's about. But what I was going to say with Perisic is it's a sell, but I can't understand the hate that he gets. Fans think we're up here, but because Perisic, he's experienced, he's proven. I think up to the World Cup, I thought he was fantastic. But the reason I'm saying sell is because if Conte was still here, I'd say keep, because he's the right player for Conte. I think that's the only reason he bought in. I think he will leave regardless of what we think this summer. I just can't see him fitting under Postecoglou's system when you've got a Doki coming back, you've got Reguilon coming back, you've got an injury-free potentially Sessegnon, Davis could potentially go forward. We've got loads of players, put it that way, in that position. And both Reguilon and Doki are more forward-thinking. I think that Postecoglou would probably like both. So that means someone has to go, and I think there'll be even Perisic. While we can get maybe something for him, because you think about it, it's a player that's bought in for free, so we can make a profit on this. And it kind of works because up until the World Cup, he was delivering some, assists, wonderful crosses, corners, set pieces. So I think it could potentially kind of work out in the end, but obviously it's not the reason we signed him. I'm sure we plan to use him all season under Conte, but yeah, it's a sell for me.
Yeah, completely agree. Really easy one, Christian Romero.
You say an easy one, but honestly, your answer on this for someone who's slated Romero all season. But for me, it's an absolute keep. I'm not saying we need to build the team around him, but the defence needs to be built around him. We're talking. You talk about Arsenal's Saliba. We talk about Liverpool's Van Dijk, and I think he has to be in that conversation. Of course, he has a rash side to his game, and you can't condemn that. It's not helpful. But I think the reason he's having to be rash is because everyone around him isn't stepping up. For example, that Liverpool game where I forget who it was. I think it was Diaz was allowed to walk into the box. Then Romero gave away a pathetic penalty. But I think he gets frustrated with people around him because you look at him for Argentina. I don't think there is that rash side, and I think there's a very much better Romero for Argentina with a good defensive partnership around him, with the likes of Otamendi and just generally a solid defence and a solid goalkeeper behind him. So for Romero's sake, you bring Vicario in, you bring a centre-back pair in, maybe that Van der Sar or Bosa, someone like that. And I think you'll see Romero's game improve. It sounds silly, but look at Van Dijk with Liverpool. When he played, next to someone like Gomez or Matic when he wasn't quite as good, then he struggles. When he plays with Konate, he looks a little bit better because Konate is an upgrade on those two. So for me, it's an absolute keep, and he's for all the problems we've had with the defence, you want to keep him.
Yeah, I think we're not in a position to not keep him, in my opinion. I think he has to improve dramatically.
Yeah,
and I part of me agrees with you with his rashness. The other part of me just believes that that's the type of player that he is. And I don't mind it. I don't mind the lunging tackles. I don't mind the kind of last minute ditch tackle to try and win the ball. But it's when we're struggling, we really, really struggle. So, and then that's when he still doesn't really find that time when he should calm himself down. So yeah, I'm going to say keep 100%. Right, moving on to Pedro Porro. Keep, learn, or sell?
For me, this is probably the easiest one we're going to have, and it's an absolute keep. I don't understand why fans have jumped on this. Again, I think I keep using this word entitlement, but fans think, Porro is not good enough. You need to give him time. He needs time to adapt to the physicality and the speed of the English game. And I think he's a player that will suit Postecoglou perfectly going forward. Obviously, I think there's room for improvement in his game defensively, but give him time. We're talking about a man who you see from his social media posts is always willing to improve. I said the same about Dan Juma. They're always willing to improve, always work hard. They love the club. He's really, really keen to come here and come with a big price. I think again it's similar with Richarlison because he comes with this big price. Fans jump to it really, really quickly. And come back to this in a year's time, and hopefully, everyone would go quiet about that because he needs that full season for me. And the team was very, very unsettled last season, so I think it's unfair to pick on an individual. And I said that with Dyer as well. The whole team's unsettled. The defense, the top of the club, the bottom of the club. So it's not right to pick on an individual. I see potential in Porro. I like what I see. Yes, he needs to improve his game, but that will come with time, with experience, with knowledge of the manager and the players around him and his surroundings. We talk about playing in a new country, a new city, a new team with a new manager. Everything everything you can possibly think of is new to him, but potentially even a new position. If he somehow plays in that back four or in a different forward position, that's still different for him. So he needs time to adapt to that. Anybody does. That's an absolute keep for me.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think you can't sell a player after 6 months at a football club.
Crazy, that would be.
It's, 6 months and a turmoil 6 months at that. He's got a chance now to impress under a new manager. And, the one thing you see from him in games for Spurs is drive, effort, passion. And to be quite honest with you, I'll take some stick for this, but I've always said this. I don't care if Spurs lose, but they try and they push and they fight.
Yeah, I agree.
I really do care when they do lose and they've shown zero effort, which we saw a lot of under, Conte's regime.
Yeah, in London derbies as well. That's a sad thing in big games.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's one of the very easiest keeps I've had to do. So let's move on to Ryan Sessegnon. I'll kick this one off, and I'm going to say sell.
Yeah, and I'm completely with you on this.
I think that we brought this young lad in who has a lot of effort, a lot of promise, I should say. Sorry, and unfortunately, whether it's to do with injuries, whether it was to do with lack of game time, whatever it was, I think that he's not going to work out in a Spurs shirt. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's kept by Postecoglou and tried to use in various ways if he can. But yeah, if we want to be winning leagues, we want to be winning titles, you don't have Ryan Sessegnon, unfortunately, in your team. What do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And not being funny, but you've got so many potential in his position and talented players. You've got Reguilon and Udogie coming back. You've already got Davis. Yeah, I don't think you really need anybody else. Obviously, he's forward thinking, perhaps, but I just don't think he's right for Postecoglou. I had the privilege of meeting him, Ryan, when I was younger, and I've always had lots of respect for him. I remember putting out a tweet I was reminded about the other day, about a year ago, saying that Ryan Sessegnon was only 23, and he was. People forget he was a key part of us getting top four under Conte down the wing. I remember him at Anfield. He scored, got an assist. He was fantastic, and he was towards the end of the season. Injuries haven't helped him. And defensively isn't good enough. He seems to make the wrong choice when he goes forward. And he's just a player that needs to be moved on. There's clubs that want him. Clubs at Fulham, I think, would love to have him back. Championship clubs, I think he'd be great for that. I just don't think, if we want to be ambitious and get back into European football or eventually challenging for cups, I'm afraid Ryan Sessegnon just isn't part of that.
Yeah, I completely agree. Now, an interesting one. Somebody who was linked with a move away last summer, and that's Japhet Tanganga. What do you think about Japhet Tanganga?
Yeah, Tanganga for me is a simple sell. It's a shame because I was there for his debut against Liverpool under Mourinho. I was actually a mascot for the day. I remember very, very close to him as well, and he put in a fantastic performance. I remember hit goal line clearances from Firmino's shot. Excellent. But showed passion, showed pace, defensively good, drive forward. And there was so much promise under Mourinho, who gave him the debut and also the start of his Spurs career because he played in multiple different positions. In every position he played in, left back, right back, centre back, he delivered him. Both side centre backs, right and left sided. So it's such a shame to be in this position, but it's not mainly his fault because he hasn't been given, I don't think, the game time. Lots of different managers have a different view on him. But you get into this age now, I think he's something like 25, and people are still saying he's rusty, which he is. And you can't be rusty. Postecoglou won't want a rusty, and you can't afford to give him opportunities in big games and him to be rusty. So he's a player that has to be moved on. Again, we want to bring these one or two centre backs in, then someone has to go as well, and Tanganga is part of that. You won't get a lot for him, but you get a little bit of him. Again, I'm sure there's probably some championship clubs or clubs in the Bundesliga or different leagues that may want him. Look at Tomori with AC Milan, similar situation with Chelsea. Apart from Tomori just got the team a little bit more, but I think that could kind of work out potentially for Tanganga. That move to Serie A, Bundesliga, something like that. But no, it's just a sell for me.
Interesting. I'm going to completely disagree. I'm saying keep.
Are you? Okay.
Do you know
What's your reason for that?
I was a little bit hesitant about saying keep, but when you mentioned that debut against Liverpool, I just remember the sheer pace of him and his drive and the engine in him when he was breaking down the wings, late on in the game, trying to set something up.
Yeah.
I think he's got something. I really do think he's got something. Now, my analogies don't really work, right? Because I always use the one, if we're going to win league titles, do we have Japhet Tanganga in our squad? Probably not. But that's on the basis of the current Japhet Tanganga. I still think that with a bit of time and the right manager, he could work. So I'm saying keep.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I'm surprised.
What about Ben Davies?
It's an absolute keep for me, and I'd like to say it's an absolute keep. I think it's quite a simple one. Alistair Gold got attacked for his article for Football London the other day saying he'd keep both Davies and Dyer. I quietly thought to myself, yeah, so would I. Dyer is a squad player, and Davies, I still think is a first team player because he's dependable, he's reliable, he does what's asked, he puts in his shift, and I love it. He gives 110%. Defensively, I think he's superb. People talk about likes of Coleman for Everton, Azpilicueta for Chelsea, in terms of being loyal and always putting in a big shift. And with experience, Davies is up there, and maybe not all that going forward compared to the likes of Reguilon or Udogie. He's a player I'd love as a left back. I'd absolutely love him as a left back. Any club in the Premier League, I think, would probably take him as a left back, especially defensively. So for me, this is quite an obvious keep. Being very loyal to the club. He may not be the most skillful, may not have the most ability compared to the Reguilon or Udogie, who offer a lot more, I think. But in terms of who's the more reliable and who's going to keep you clean sheets and consistently perform, it's got to be Ben Davies. That's an absolute keep for me.
Oh. Sell. I knew we wouldn't keep this nice agreement up along, Harry.
It's clashed on Davies.
You know what? If we played with a back five or back three, I'd keep him. I would. I'd keep him as left-sided centre-back. I don't think in a modern game he's good enough for the fast pace that you need as a left-back.
Really?
And I think the Spurs bring in at least one left-sided centre-back, potentially two, before the end of the transfer window. Therefore, his job is null and void. You wouldn't want him and Romero playing next to each other at the back. I wouldn't be comfortable with a new left-footed centre-back coming in and playing next to Ben Davies, who plays...
I wouldn't play Davies in defence. I'd probably play him as left-back. At the same time, though, I have said with Udogie and Reguilon, I think both of those deserve opportunities. So it really depends. If it was my Tottenham in the back four, Davies would be in there straight away.
Interesting. Let's move on to probably another controversial one. And if you are in the comments, don't forget to write your comments. For some reason, my screen won't let me see them, but Harry will be dishing out the comments. So
and also check out the link if you want to have your say.
Exactly. I'll just pop it up now. If you want to have your say, click that link and join us live. You must have your camera on. It's the only rule that we have. Let's move on to Oliver Skipp. Keep, loan, or sell?
Yeah, it's an absolute keep for me. We're talking about a young player who's I'm surprised by your face there. I want to hear this. I want to hear when he comes around to you. But we're talking about a player who, when called upon, was fantastic. London derby against Chelsea, stepped up, drove the team forward. The only one who stepped up, Milan, him with Sarr, fantastic. And we talk about the future of the club. And it is actually really, really exciting with Skipp, with Sarr, with Udogie. I think the future is bright for some of these young players. Harvey White, you've got loads of players, but especially Skipp and Sarr, I think is very, very exciting. The future of Tottenham, I like to say, especially in that midfield area. Obviously, I'd rather Højbjerg than him. I've said this, but they both do different roles. Skipp, reliable, keeps you the ball. My only worry is with Winks coming back, we have a lot of players in his position, but I think Skipp is any manager's dream, really. He does what's required, and I think will be wanted by Postecoglou, definitely. So I think keep 100%.
Oliver Skipp. sell.
No, you can't.
You can. Look, right, let's go.
You better say keep to Højbjerg then, because we'll end up with no midfielders.
Well, do you know what? Actually, I wanted to. I'll let you all on a little secret. I wanted to sell both. I do want to sell both, but I've decided while you were talking that I want to sell Skip. Now, the only reason for that is I think that you look at Højbjerg, Skip, Winks, Bissouma, and Bentancur. We'll only play with the two in midfield. That'll be Bentancur and Bissouma, in my opinion. Therefore, we have a lot of players that we need to get rid of. And for me, I think that he's had his time on loan. He's come back. He has played a lot of football for Spurs. I just haven't seen enough of it. I just haven't seen enough of it. We can talk about Milan and we can talk about, the bravery and everything else. I haven't seen enough of him. And I think we need to act like a big club. I think we need to sell him.
No.
So that's that.
Fair enough.
No, exactly. Let the
Agree to disagree.
Let's move on to Højbjerg. It's going to be an easy one for you, that I think.
Yes, it's for me. It's an easy keep. But if Dave and that want to come at me and go, Højbjerg this, Højbjerg that, Højbjerg this, he's not doing this, he's not doing that. What I would turn around and continue to say to Dave is when Højbjerg, when called upon, always steps up. I think he's a big game player. And when asked to play a different role, he stepped up in an attacking sense. Look at the assists and goals he's got this season. It's the highest in his career, especially providing. Let's look at Harry Kane's goals. He's 30 or whatever goals Kane scored this season. The majority of them are assisted or in the build-up started by Højbjerg. And this is one thing I've been critical of Conte, Stellini and Mason for. I think they're playing Højbjerg in the wrong position. I've always said Højbjerg I love as a defensive midfielder, like you have with City with Rodri, United with Casemiro, Arsenal potentially with someone like Xhaka, where you have two bodies sitting in front of you. So Højbjerg as the number 6, if you like, under Postecoglou could be really, really exciting with the likes of Bissouma, Maddison, Bentancur, etc., sitting in front of him. With probably be two bodies in front of him out of those three. I think he's very, very exciting. I think he's a top player. And I get slated for this a lot because people talk about Rodri, Casemiro, Partey, etc., and I think they're all fantastic. But Højbjerg is still an outsider in that debate. I think he's better than Partey. I think he's better than Xhaka. I think he's better than Fabinho. There's loads of players out there I think he's better than, and it just has a lot more to his game. Gives 110%. I can see your face. He wears the badge, wears the shirt. I just can't see why anyone wouldn't want him. For Denmark, he got man of the match the other day. Dave probably wasn't watching the game. Why Dave's sleeping? Højbjerg's putting a man of the match performance in. So there you go. It's an absolute keep for me. That's the easiest one I've had today. Him and Porro, easiest ones.
I wanted to do this, but I'm going to get rid of all my midfielders, so I'm going to have to say keep. I don't think he gets a lot of game time under Postecoglou, in my opinion. I think I would rather have Bissouma and Bentancur as your sitting midfielders, and then I would rather have
I'd have all three,
or Scott, or whoever we end up buying in that.
Yeah,
and then another player. I'm thinking Ndombele could play further forward as a link-up player, but people will probably slate me for that as well. But yeah,
no, I'm with you on that. I'm
thinking Højbjerg is a cup player. He's a player that we can use in cup competitions. I think he's average at best, to be quite honest. I think we have to act like a big club, and Højbjerg's not a big club player.
I think he gets into any other team in the top 6. I really do think he does.
No, not having that. Anyway, let's move on to Sarr. Keep, loan, or sell.
I'm going to dish out my first loan of the day. I think Sarr is a player who could work out. A man who's called upon, in Milan. Him and Skip, I thought, were fantastic. We were unlucky not to come away with anything, by the way. Them two when called upon, there was worries because Højbjerg, Bissouma, Skip, none of them will fit. Injuries and suspensions, and they both stepped up. Sarr as well. Do you remember the North London derby where everyone was down and out and given up? He just kept going. Fantastic. And I still would have given him man of the match. It was 1 against 11 in that North London derby, and he was the one. I think a loan, somewhere like the Bundesliga or potentially the Championship, could really, really help him gain that first team football experience, know-how of his position. Come back in a year or two's time. I promise you, I can see him, if he's not in our first team, he'd be in someone else's first team, a top team, and doing very, very well. So for me, a loan, I think, will massively help him, and that'll avoid the squad being overcrowded as well.
I 100% agree. I think Sarr could be a future star.
Absolutely.
At Spurs. I genuinely believe that. He's tall, he's strong, he's talented. I think he's got literally everything. Let's not forget what scouting pool this guy came from. He came from the same scouting pool from Metz as Sadio Mane. He won Young African Player of the Year last season, I'm pretty sure, and I completely agree. I would have loved to see him in the first team, but I genuinely think that it's too much too soon, and I think he could be an absolutely phenomenal player. So I'm going for a loan. Nice to agree with you, Harry, wasn't it? On that
He's nice, yeah.
Let's move on. Probably my easiest pick of the day, and that's Rodrigo Bentancur. I'm not even going to say any words apart from here's the reason and keep.
Yeah, exactly. It's a keep. I can't wait to have him back in November. Yeah, I'd be very worried if someone says sell. Very worried.
Yeah, I'd be very worried as well, mate. To be honest, I think
very worried.
You know, he's the main player in our team. I'm going to keep up for a while because the next one is Yves Bissouma, and I think that he's a absolutely quality player. I think that he's been played wrongly under Conte. He wasn't given enough game time, was slightly injured, didn't really settle into Spurs. But I think that now is the time to watch him shine under Ange, and it's 100% a keep for me.
Yeah, completely agree with you, Luke. Surprisingly there. No, it's 100% keep. The player we signed from Brighton at the time was a player that every top club wanted, and arguably at the time probably the best midfielder at the time, defensive midfielder in the world at the time, or certainly in the Premier League. Defensively going forward, it hasn't worked out due to injuries, the wrong manager, wrong position, like you say, Luke, etc. But I still believe that 25, 30 million, whatever it was, could come back as an absolute bargain of a deal. You got United potentially paying 55, 60, maybe even 75 million for Mason Mount. And you look at Bissouma for just over half of that, you think, wow, what a deal. So this could work out next season under Postecoglou, because I think Bissouma can play as a number 6, he can play as a number 8. So I think he's flexible. I think he will really, really work. I think Postecoglou, we're rubbing his hands together because he knows he's got a player here.
Yeah, my God. If he wasn't rubbing his hands together already with some of the players that we have at Spurs, he definitely is, because I agree with you. That was a hell of a shout, and that's what I was about to say. I hate using... Do you know what I really hate in life? I hate using numbers for footballers. It really drives me insane. But I completely agree. I think he could be a 6, or, as Ange does play with 2 8s. I think he has the ability to be able to do that. He is a box-to-box player who needs to be able to roam and needs to be able to do that. And I think that,
but Luke, in my ideal world, I know you're going to disagree with this instantly, but I would have Højbjerg as a number 6, and I would love the thought of Bentancur and Bissouma in front of him. And you got Kulusevski, you got Son, you got Kane. I think that's really, really exciting, and that definitely scores you goals. And if for whatever reason Kane or Son somehow leave, then you got Richarlison to turn to as well, who I think could have a big say in Postecoglou's system. But I think Bissouma, like you say, can play in a number of different positions. So he's an absolute keep, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Heung-min Son recently turned down, the interest from Saudi Arabia, saying that he has more to prove in the Premier League and more to prove at Tottenham Hotspur, and he loves it there. Keep, loan, or sell.
It's an absolute keep, but I absolutely love Sonny and I love his attitude. He's turned down, and I credit him. I criticise what Chelsea and what their players have done. They've taken the money. They've only cared about themselves, because that's the only reason you're not being funny. It's the only reason you go to Saudi Arabia, because the Premier League by far is the best league in the world. Absolutely playing against top teams. Saudi Arabia, you're not even talked about. Nobody really knows you. Nobody's going to know you. It's only for pure money. So I love that from Son. And I love the fact that last season, although he's seen it as a low and he wants to come back stronger. And I think an injury-free and a surgery-free Son under the right manager with a feel-good factor at the club, he could be something else. If you think last season, despite our struggles, how well Kane done, if you add the likes of Son to that, fit Basuma to that, a fit Bentancur to that, an improved Højbjerg or Skip, or there's so many positive things I think in that department to look forward to next season. But yeah, it's an absolute keep. He's a gem of a player. No reason. And also he brings, I forgot to say this, he brings a lot on and off the pitch. Off the pitch with revenue, with his fans coming over. I think the club would be crazy to sell him because he brings a lot financially to the club, which is great, which is what we need at the moment. Yeah, with the COVID backlog, with the stadium debt. And off on the pitch. I mean, he speaks for himself on the pitch. So yeah, last season was an off season for lots of different reasons. He's still a special player, and I think will be a Golden Boot contender next season.
Yeah, there's not even any debate, is there, about keeping Lascelles with Sonny? Like, the thing is about it is that I mentioned it a lot last season, and I mentioned that, he always seemed to be unable to get the right first touch, and the ball always bobbled away from him. He never. Remember that goal he scored against Burnley? The Puskas winning goal under Mourinho, where every touch that he made was absolutely pinpoint perfect, and you never saw that once last season. The other thing that I'm excited about this season is that Postecoglou likes his wingers to be wide as physically possible, and I think that getting Sonny one-on-one with
comes inside.
Yeah, come inside, step overs, even go into the byline, cut inside, whatever he needs to do, he has the ability to do. And I think that the surgery, was needed, and I'm unsure why the club didn't make him get it done.
Yeah. Danjuma sitting on the bench as well, and you still had Lucas. It's odd.
I think Heung-min Son is as sought after at Spurs as Harry Kane, in my opinion. I think that Daniel Levy would not sell him.
He wouldn't sell it. And people criticise Levy for not selling a player because of what he brings to the club. But this is the only thing that frustrates me, right? People go on Levy about how we're not signing these world beaters, we're not signing the Haalands, these top players, Nunes, these big prices, the Guardians that City are going to sign, and we can't do that unless there's revenue and there's money coming in, and money comes in from Son. His fans from South Korea. It's great to see. You see inside the stadium and the amount they spend in the shop. Not being funny, you see it a lot, and it's fantastic for the club. So he has every right to keep, and he brings a lot on the pitch as well. So for Son, he's kind of keeping the club together, both on and off the pitch at the moment. So you'd be crazy to sell him, and I back Levy with keeping him. I think that that's definitely the right thing to do, and you don't cash in on him because in the long term you lose out. So and fair play for Son, like I said, for turning down the Saudi Arabian links. He has got some common sense.
He's obviously got morals, hasn't he? Unlike
he's obviously got morals. This is something This is something that I think we find easy to agree on. And yeah, I do. I have had a dig at the Chelsea players that have gone to Saudi Arabia. It is only for the money. They clearly have no morals, no decency. And no interest, perhaps I would say, in their family.
Yeah, 100%. I want to touch on that really quickly and talk about this term that I hear a lot on Twitter, and it's about tourist fans at the stadium and how the stadium is now a tourist attraction and not a football stadium. I want to make a kind of point here and say, where does it give you your right to say that you're a season ticket holder and therefore only season ticket holders or only diehard fans should be able to attend the game? This stadium and this football club should be for everybody, regardless of where they're from, what country they're from, and how often they decide to go to the game. I live in Scotland. I don't able to get to games very often, but I should have this exact same right as somebody that lives 5 minutes down the road to be able to attend a game of a club that I love, and so should somebody that's travelled all the way from South Korea to come and stand there and sing the name of Heung-min Son. And
completely agree with you, Luke.
Use that term.
Yeah, completely agree with you. There's nothing wrong with tourists as well. Of course, you want the stadium to be loud, but at the same time, you want the money from the ticket, and every fan, or every person, should I say, should have the right to come to a lovely new stadium. And again, that tourist is funding the market and the idea that we have both as a business as a football club. There's nothing wrong with that. Stadiums and football clubs. I've called out big companies, including football clubs, they're not doing enough to be inclusive. And one thing they are doing is they allow tourists, which is great. I mean, why should you force everyone to sing or to shout or to be loud? Because some people may just want to there to watch. There's times that home game against Brentford, I supported the team. Obviously, very, very happy when we scored. But I made the decision before the game that I don't want to be shouting and losing my voice because the season's pretty much over. That's not me not caring. That's me taking the decision for like health. And I was in the family section, people around me. So fans have no right to say whether you should sing or not. Everyone has a right, and I'm completely with you on this, Lee. It's ludicrous, really. I mean, I'm all for opinions, but this is just wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah, 100%. Right, let's get back to this game then.
I'm liking this.
Interesting one. Richarlison, keep, loan or sell?
Yeah, it's a keep, and I struggle to see oppositional views on this. And I think the only reason we're sitting here talking about whether he should be sold or not, or he's a flop, etc., or failure, blah blah blah, is because of the price tag that he's come with. Because we've got a player who I love to keep saying this. And this is not the only reason, but can play in different positions, can be the backup for Kane, can play in the front two with Kane, can interchange with Kulusevski or Son due to injury, fitness, performance, whatever. Richarlison, of course, last season wasn't good enough and he needs to be scoring more than one goal, obviously, absolutely. But suffer from injury problems. I think Conte used him in the wrong way, which I'm sure you can agree with me on this, Luke. And he's using it like putting him out on the wing. But one thing's for sure with Richarlison, he gives 110%. He cares, and you want that. Postecoglou wants that. You only want players who give 110%, and that's why I've highlighted the likes of Richarlison, Højbjerg is very, very key to this because I think they leave, however good they are, they leave everything on the pitch. And Richarlison was a top player for both Everton and Watford. So he scores you goals, he causes you problems. He's a goal threat. But if we're in this position next season where he scored less than 5 goals, then of course he has to go. But I think next season we're talking Richarlison, 10, 15 goals, I don't think will be a problem because he'll be in the right position. He might maybe find a way to play him with Kane. All right, I'm going to throw out here to make a prediction. Richarlison's going to score 14 goals next season.
Jesus.
14 goals and 5 assists.
Bloody hell. Do you know what? I think this is my toughest decision. I think it's
really
of the entire thing.
He's only had a season though. I think he needs an opportunity. But if you're going to get rid of him, then someone else has to come back in. So it's messing around really. It's wasting the transfer window in my view.
So I like him. I do. I really do like him. And I know he was brought in, I said at the start of the season he wouldn't score more than 5 goals this season. He wasn't brought in as a goal scorer. But then I started to question myself whilst we were talking, well, what does he bring?
How much are we going to get for him, though?
Yeah. Do I think that the club will sell him? Probably not. What do I think should happen? I think he'd be good at Crystal Palace or something like that. He's not.
Oh, no. I thought you were going to say someone like AC Milan.
He scores 5 goals next season. That's something.
No. Between the 10-15 gap.
Interesting. Right.
We'll come back to this. I want to come back to this in a few months' time. Even at Christmas, I want to come back to this.
Yeah, right, let's do it. The Harry Kane.
What do I need to say about this? It's an absolute key. But at the same time, I'd like to highlight Tom Holland got called out a couple of days ago for encouraging both Kane and Son to leave. And I'm going to defend Tom Holland here because, of course, I'd love Kane to stay, and I don't want him to go. I'd be very upset if he went. I'd love him to stay. If you're Harry Kane and you want to win trophies and you want to, I don't know, earn more money, win more trophies, whatever, then of course you wouldn't turn down the move to Real Madrid, because we're in a bit of a state at the moment. And I think he has been let down. I don't think the team's been built around him. When Pochettino called for that rebuild, I think that was one of Levy's biggest mistakes, which I'm sure he can recognise. So, yeah, I'd love Kane to stay. Obviously, I'm sure every fan will want him to stay. But for his personal career, you'd probably leave. But I do hope he does stay. I really do. And what makes me think he will stay is the excitement. Not only the excitement as Postecoglou, but mainly because he's a family man. You know, he has charities now, Harry Kane Foundation here in London. Why would he move to Madrid with a foundation and a charity in London with a family settled, kids' school, newborn baby? You wouldn't move to Manchester. You wouldn't move to Madrid. You wouldn't move to, different part of London. You just wouldn't do it. So, yeah, for me, I think he's 100% staying at Spurs, and I hope he does.
Yeah, 100%. There's no chance I'd ever say sell to Harry Kane. I think that, people can talk about him going to Real Madrid and how much amazing it would be for his career. People forget what happened to Gareth Bale when he went to...
Yeah, no, exactly. But Luke, what I will say, I don't think we're going to get it, but if we had a club come in, whether it be Newcastle, Real Madrid, and bid 150 million for Kane, I'm going to be bold here and say I would take it and rebuild the defence with that money. Because I know you disagree with this, but Richarlison up front, I think getting the amount of minutes that Kane gets, he gets between 15 and 20 goals. Maybe not the amount of Harry Kane, but I think he scores you goals. Him and Son, I think they'll be, and Kulusevski will be completely fine. That's why I've said if Kane goes, we don't need a replacement. We used that 150 million on a couple of players in defence to improve the defence. And I think that's an improved team. But anything lower than that, then obviously you keep him. But there you go, being bold. Come back to me when I change my mind or it goes wrong, but I'll take 150 million for Kane. We're not going to get it.
Well, we'll make this one really quick because he's just signed a permanent deal, but Dejan Kulusevski is definitely a keep. I think he's young. I think he's strong. I think he's talented. He's got both feet. He can cut inside. He can use his left foot. I think he's absolutely fantastic. And I, have no problem whatsoever with him shining on that right wing. And I can see there being... Do you know where I can see him playing? Alongside James Maddison behind...
People keep saying that. I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
You know what you could do? You could have... There could either be Pedro Porro playing slightly inside next to Maddison and Kulusevski playing out wide, or you could have, because Porro has more pace, Porro playing out wide as a right winger and Kulusevski playing inside. There's
for me, you have Kulusevski as the winger and Porro as part of that back four. We just improve his defensive game. Porro and Davis as the
I think we'll see Porro playing further forward.
I hope so, because I think he's good going forward. But with Kulusevski, to keep it short, sweet, nice and quick. Credit to Daniel Levy for signing him, because people had a go at him. Daniel Levy strikes again, trying to get him for cheaper. But he's just saved us money, 27 million. 27 million for a player of his ability and potential in this current market, modern market in 2023 isn't bad at all, I tell you.
And everybody slagged off, didn't they? Everybody slagged off Mr. Levy for him trying to negotiate money off a deal.
He did it, and he's got it done, and he's saved a few million that we can hopefully be reinvested in the right way. I do believe that. We've wasted lots of money, yes, but hopefully mistakes have been learned, put it that way. But I know we disagree with David Raya, but it's 40 million for an English goalkeeper, a Premier League proven goalkeeper in 2023.
I'm not having this discussion again, Harry.
It's an absolute bargain. I think David Raya is worth more than 40. I think he's worth 50, 55. So for 40, I think it's fantastic. I think Brentford have every right to demand that. When I heard that Brentford want 40 million, I was surprised, to be honest with you, because Kepa, Alisson, Edison, they all go for more than that. So that is, for me, very, very impressive. And I think next year, if David Raya is still at Brentford, it'll be for a much bigger fee. But
he goes on a free transfer next year.
Well, if he doesn't sign a new contract. We need a goalkeeper now. We can't wait a year.
We've got to go through now the players that were currently out on loan last season.
This is where it gets interesting.
Sergio Reguilon, quick one-word answer.
Keep.
Agreed.
Yes.
Boom. Easy. Harry Winks, one-word answer. No,
See,
Harry, come on.
I've said two different opinions, though. I've said keep and sell in two separate videos in the space of 2 days because he suits Postecoglou's system with keep ball. Okay, sell. Just about sell because I would say keep Højbjerg and skip. So yeah, he's just about sell.
Brian Hill.
Loan. No. Oh. Well, it depends if the likes of Richarlison. We need if we don't bring a winger in, he has to stay because we need that replacement for Danjuma. There's just not enough attacking options. If we bring someone else in, then I'd ideally like him to go out on loan. So I'm going to say loan, but it really depends on the situation around him with players in that position.
I'm saying keep 100%. I think there's a player in there.
It's keep on loan.
I think that, again, he was used badly. He's a young and small and thin player, right?
So much potential, I think.
Yeah, he needs to be able to either learn how to utilize those skills or maybe look at working on his physique in the gym, kind of.
It won't take long.
But I definitely think we should keep him. So let's see where we go from there. A very controversial one now, which is Giovanni Lo Celso.
So easy. I've never seen what fans have seen in him. I went to that game against Norwich where he got the man match performance. I really wasn't fussed. He runs around a lot, keeps the ball. He has ability. I just don't think this level's for him. I just don't think the Premier League is good enough for him at all. I just don't think it is. And you mentioned Crystal Palace earlier. I'm sure that they'd love him. I think the wage would be too high. But I think, sadly, for him, that's his level. I don't think it is a top 6 club. I don't see what he offers. And we might be able to get a little bit for him. Yes, it's an absolute sell. I'm sorry, it's a simple one.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Joe Rodon.
Sell. Not good enough for this level.
Yeah.
Sadly, I think it's sad because I think he had potential and done really well for Wales, but it was never going to work when we signed him.
Joe Rodon is a no-nonsense, old-school centre-back, in my opinion. He's not a player that would fit our system.
He's very basic. He does what's asked of him. Like you said, he's a no-nonsense defender. Where you got some defenders will take risks. Like you got the Perisic, I think it was, and Romero, who would chest back to the goalkeeper last season. And 9 times out of 10 it would work. He wouldn't have that. He just had it out for a corner because it's safe. But no, we need better than him.
He'd have fit the Premier League, and I think you'd have fit a top-tier Premier League in the mid-90s. That's the kind of defender I think he is.
I think Championship's probably his level. But if he'd be happy, first-team Championship player, I think he'd be happy with that.
Okay, Jed Spence.
Right, so I said keep Ellison, I said keep Porro, so I'm going to go with loan Jed Spence. There's a player in there, but he's been very, very disappointing when he's gone out on loan. I think it was State Rennes. I watched him. I think he's poor. He looked like someone who hadn't had a lot of minutes. I think it'll work out. I think there's a player in there that we signed for Forest and Middlesbrough. I really do. I'm going to go with loan.
I'm going to keep. I think he should be in and around the first team. I think he should be pushing for.
I don't think he should be sold, so I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah, I think he should be pushing for a first team place. I don't think that loan will be any beneficial to him.
He needs more minutes for sure.
Yeah, and I'm going to do that. Right, Tanguy Ndombele.
My opinion's changed. For about a year and a half, even before he's gone out on loan, said sell. Can't stand his attitude, his lack of work. But I'm looking at Postecoglou and I look at Tanguy Ndombele and I go, he's got bags of ability, and we know that. Postecoglou, I mean, if anyone's going to work on your fitness or get you to work hard, it will be him. He'll shout at Ndombele and Ndombele will work a bit hard. It's such a shame for Ndombele's sake because there's bags of ability in there. He has the ability that David Silva had, De Bruyne has. He has so much in his locker. But he's sad. I don't know why he's not willing to put the effort in, but he's clearly not. There's potential in there. He hadn't played enough minutes for Napoli. Shockingly, I think he played the least. He got the least amount of minutes in the whole Napoli squad, bar from the backup goalkeeper, which is sad, really. But I think his ability, just because of his ability, I'm going to say keep. And the fact that I'd sell Lo Celso.
Yeah, do you know what? I agree with you. I think, and It's probably because I spent a lot of money on a Spurs shirt with Ndombele on the
Did you?
back. I never had the chance to really wear it. So, do you know what? I think here's a topic for discussion, and Wes, who comes on our show a lot, will probably kill me for this. I think he could be as good as Moussa Dembele for Spurs. I genuinely believe that.
I think he'd be better. I think he can be better.
I think they have some like massive similarities in ability that he is so talented on the ball. It's just whether Ange will put up with him, and that I worry for. And so I could see him being ousted quite quickly, but I could also see him having a huge impact, depending on how his attitude moves. So let's leave it at keep. Right. Harvey White.
I don't know, to be fair. I'm stuck on this one between keep or loan. Loan. Let's loan into a championship club, Norwich or Watford.
I'm stuck between loan and sell, to be quite honest.
Are you? Wow. Sell. Okay.
No, you know what it is? He's not getting any younger.
No, that's true. We can't keep being in this
21,
position every year where we say he's not quite ready yet.
Yeah, he's not quite ready yet. Let's loan him out. It's like, how many loans do you need before? I saw Antonio Conte was playing him as a 10 in different games. And so, when I saw the game kind of during the World Cup era type, and he played as a 10. And I just don't know, mate. I think that everybody has this love of like academy players, but you have to look how many academy players ever make it to the very top. There's not many of them. And do I think he has the ability to win a Premier League for Spurs? No, I'm selling him.
Okay.
You said loan, right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Last one is. Do you know what? We'll add another one in quickly. What about Alfie Devine?
Devine?
Yeah.
Oh, I've met Devine, so I've got to be kind here. This is shy lad he is. I'm going to say keep, because Postecoglou, I think, will give academy players and younger players opportunities in cup competitions, especially the FA Cup. But saying that, we'll talk about a man who likes the youth academy, but he wants to take cups seriously. That doesn't mean playing Devine maybe off the bench when the job's done in round 3, 4, and 5, or 5, should I say? Yeah, keep. I think it's potentially a player in there.
Yeah, I'm going to say loan. But just quickly, we are having some issues with the software that we use today. So some of your comments are not being able to be loaded onto the screen.
Apologies.
But we are seeing them, and we will read through all your comments. And if you do want to say anything after the show, drop it in the comments and we'll comment back to you straight after the show. So just wanted to say that. Yeah, loan. I think that he's still young. He has bags and bags and bags of ability, and I'd like to see him around the squad, but I think a loan would be more beneficial to his further development. Yeah. Right, last one is another easy one because we haven't even seen him play, and that would be Udogie.
Absolute keep. He's been a gem for Udinese, and I've been enjoying my evenings during the season watching Udogie for Udinese absolutely terrify defenses and absolutely terrify attackers defensively. He has everything, especially going forward. He has goals, he has assists, free kicks. He has everything, does Udogie at such a young age. Everything that Postecoglou wants. Udogie, I'm going to say this now. People say Udogie isn't for now. I think Udogie's going to be the regular starter in that position under Postecoglou. I really think he will be. I think it'll take a couple of games for him to realise. I think it'll be him, followed up by Davis, or maybe Reguilon as well. But I think Udogie is a starter under Postecoglou. I think he's ready now.
I agree. I think he walked straight into the first team. I think
absolutely. He improved the position instantly.
There's a lot of worries, about Ange's system under both Porro and Udogie, and I don't believe we would play both of them together. I think more than likely we would play Emerson and Udogie, but he has the ability to play. His agent said the other day, playing left back, no problem at all, and I respect that, and I agree with you. Goals, assists, all the things that he offers, and he's fast, and so 100% keep. Right, that kind of wraps us up for today. So it's been a whirlwind of an episode. But what we're going to do is we're going to collate this into a little table, and I'll post it onto our Twitter account in the next couple of days, and you can have your say on whether you think we should loan, keep, or sell any of those players. If you agree with us, make sure you hit a comment and tell us what you agree with. If you disagree with any of the statements in today's show, we want to hear from you as well. So make sure you also put that in. Another point, if you are interested in becoming a regular on our show, don't hesitate to hit me up on my channel, or also directly, my Twitter, or directly on our podcast Twitter. And, we'll have a conversation about coming on the show. It's always looking for people, no matter the age, where you're from, what you look like. None of that matters. All that matters is that you talk about Spurs. Harry, thank you very, very much for joining us. The others let us down once again, but you never let me down. Tell everyone how they can find you.
No, I appreciate that. I don't like letting people down, put it that way. No comment about that. Where people can find me, thank you for having me on once again. Don't forget to subscribe firstly to Park Lane Podcast. Check out Luke Park Lane Podcast there. My channel, check out Scarfy Spurs Talk on the road to 1K. And I've announced the celebration that will be when we get to 1K. It's a special video will be released. It's been created for me. A few minute video about all the memories and moments from the channel since October. We started in October 2021. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. And there might be like a 1K video to come as well. Scarfy Spurs Talk. If you want to follow me, up to you. Harry Scarf 22. Currently receiving a lot of abuse for a couple of different things, in my opinion, with Eric Dyer and Ben Davis. But also criticising the Spurs YouTubers. So if you want to check it out, go check it out. I stand my ground on that. But no, thank you for having me on once again, Luke.
Well, mate, it's an absolute pleasure. And, you know what I say about these people that write nonsense online? They're all too scared to say it in real life. And anybody who spends their days abusing people online, there's one thing I learned from a very famous,
very sad,
very famous person that does lots of talks, and they said, if somebody is, sad enough to write these things online, you have to worry about what is actually going on in their lives. And actually, you should be sympathetic for what potentially they have to do to be able to take that abuse out on a young lad like you. So, Harry, really appreciate that. If you're interested in following me, it's Luke_Park Lane. More importantly, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And we are pushing this channel on as much as we can. Let's get it to 800 subscribers before the start of the new season. And let's just keep moving forward. We released our competition the other week, had a great response, and one of our lucky viewers has now got a brand new Spurs shirt, and we'll be looking at doing more of that throughout the summer transfer window. But apart from that, thank you all very, very much for watching. Have a great rest of your weekend. And as we always say, come on, you Spurs.